You are with Wade, and this is Wade World. So, a thought occurred to Wade today, and this thought has been around for a long time with Wade. So, Wade is going to share this with you. Superheroes, are they a psychological operation? Are they a PsyOp? And I'm saying that as someone who, not a huge comic book fan or something, but I appreciate the story of Superman. I think originally designed by two Jews, and definitely appreciate more the story of Batman because of the realism and the darkness. And I'm guessing that's about it. Then you have the Archie comics or something that's always entertaining when you're a kid. But if we take superheroes as an example, and we assess their approach to solving the world's problems, it doesn't make any sense. It's entertaining for sure, but it doesn't make any sense. First of all, the superheroes in the comics that we read, they were somewhat invented. The technology is, we would say, infecting the mainstream. It's not even spreading, it's just an infection. So a lot of the rules of heroes, superheroes, do not make any sense. And the number one rule of superheroes is, you will not kill those who are guilty of even mass murder. So it's like we shouldn't be like them, which Wade thinks is like a Jewish code for demoralizing people into understanding that when somebody is invading your civilization, you can't argue your way out of it. When invaders are coming into your nation and breaking your laws, murdering you, um, doing unspeakable things to your daughters and your wives and your mothers and your sisters, and basically destroying your nation, then the only way in history that an invasion has been successfully defeated has been you take up arms and you go and you try to kill those who try to kill you. This is basic logic 101. Nowhere in the history of humanity or any civilization has it happened that an invader comes into your house and you're like writing letters and trying to talk to this person who's showing up with the intent to basically genocide you and take over your nation and your resources and your people. That doesn't work, right? So this number one, this rule, like you should not kill. It seems like a massive psyop because if we take the example of how, and this is recent, so there are millions of comic book fans bigger than Wade, but while being bored, Wade watched one of the movies where Superman turns bad, and he turns bad because the Joker kills his pregnant wife, Lois. And they just demonize Superman, like, oh wow, he's gone full authoritarian and he doesn't understand anything and he's in pain and blah blah blah. Which is fine and good, but if you understand the basic reasoning behind it, if you have this one vector of evil, like the Joker, that will kill, maim, destroy lives, people just for the fun of it, right? There is no point in trying to rehabilitate this unrehabilitatable person. And the person who keeps getting out and doing the same shit over and over again. It's like an enemy that keeps attacking you, and instead of just ending him once and for all, you just like beat him, and then you're like, all right, you're free to go, and don't be a bad boy again. But you know the bad boy, he's gonna be a bad boy, and he's gonna come and attack you again and again. So the no killing rule makes zero sense. And if you kill in the comic books, they demonize you. Number two, Batman is the greatest detective in the world, for example, and we're just gonna, for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna stick to Superman and Batman. Most of these things, right? Superman has genius level intellect and whatnot. Well, there are a lot of people out there who are not Superman or Batman, but they understand that a lot of the crime going on in your nations is not just, it can't be solved by basically beating the criminals. It doesn't work, it doesn't solve the problem. New York City is a fantastic example. New York City has been made the hotbed of crime since 1960s. Crime goes up, then someone strict comes in, then crime goes down, then they vote it out, crime goes back up. So you're not really solving the underlying problem as they say there are in the comic books. They would do exactly what every single AI, artificial intelligence, has not been limited. has done in the past. It has gone extremely racist, extremely sexist, and it has gone extremely anti-Jew if you're in a white nation. So if you take the example of a white nation, right, a lot of the crime did not exist when the society was racially homogeneous, when people were very similar, believed in the same traditional values, were of majorly the same race with minor differences. A lot of the fact that crime has grown to epic proportions is because you've got a multiracial nation, and one of these races is the mastermind of pitting all the other races against each other. They're also the masterminds of crime that they're the biggest victims. Who are we talking about? Of course, the Jews, right? So if Superman and Batman are that smart, instead of going out and punching random dudes on the street and like, oh, the superhero, they'll find out like who is funding, organizing, motivating, and planning this whole structure of society that has led to an increase in crime. And then it's like if you have this central hub of evil, right, and it is just spewing forth evil, like thousands and thousands and millions of tentacles of evil, it is a waste of your time to go and try to chop off those tentacles. It is a waste of your time to try to fight the symptoms. If you want to destroy evil, you have to land a killing blow. Where? The source of the evil. There is a great segue now into this Tom Cruise movie, Day After Tomorrow, where if you've not seen it, spoilers, tough, go see it, where the Earth is invaded by this alien species which can manipulate time, and they send their forces, and every time they lose, they just reset until they win eventually. Sounds a lot like a lot of the elections in democracies, where if the results don't go one way, you keep voting until the results go the right way, right? And then the only way that humans were able to win in that movie was that Tom Cruise went and killed the guy, the central creature that was in charge of resetting time. So you see, he didn't try to kill the soldiers or the other guys. He killed the central power that was enabling these creatures to invade us, and then just reset the timeline if they lost until they won. So any superhero with a genius level intellect, it would take them maybe a day, maximum a week if they were slow, to understand like, all right, 99% of the world's problems are created by this specific group of people. So I can go out and spend my entire day and entire life punching random dudes on the street who are just doing what they're allowed to do. They're not really got any original thought. They don't have any original motivation. Or I could actually just cut the head of the Hydra and destroy the people who are organizing, funding, and encouraging this chaos. Right? So basically, that would make superhero comics extremely short because they'd be like, Superman. And then within a day, he's like, all right, this group of people right here, these guys have been messing with us, with humanity for 7,500 years. So I'm going to just take all of them out. Crime drops by 99.9%, and then you can deal with, the lesser problems. Batman would come to the same realization maybe in a day as well. He'd be like, oh, all right. So it would take him a lot longer to solve this because he's just, a mad, and he's in the financial system. But this makes you think that this superhero genre, it's great imagination, but it just appeals to the naivety. When you're a child, especially when we're going to talk to men now. When we are boys, pre-teens, teens, early 20s, we're very idealistic. And that's great. It's great to have ideals, right? So we think that we can find one dude, even in James Bond, like you find this one guy, you destroy him, and bam, the world is saved. Nah, man, there's like an army of this dude's relatives and genetic cousins around him. He's just the front guy, right? So it appeals to us to just simplify our problems down to one guy, and we beat him, and we don't kill him because we're better than him, and we lock him away, and then all's good. But in the real world, if you actually grow to be a man, usually it happens in your 30s, in your 40s. For some men, it takes forever, maybe 60, 70, 80. For some men, they never grow up, right? But for the men who live in reality, the whole superhero storyline, while very entertaining and fantastic, is exactly that, a fantasy. Because in the real world, you know that the evil is much more organized, decentralized, and mundane. There is no single person that you can go and punch today, in today's world, right now, in the year 2025, AD on Earth, right? There is no single person you can go and punch and that just ends evil. You will have to find out the whole organizations which are very good at hiding, and you would have to take out like a lot of people concurrently, and even that would only give you a temporary relief. So the final realization you have to understand is that this is a part of human nature, and the fight between good and evil or order and chaos, it will never end. This is the nature of our reality. But a good beginning to that fight is to stop wasting your time trying to attack the symptoms of evil, the symptoms of chaos, and attack the disease. If there are riots on your street by a certain race of people, find out who funds them. If you are being invaded under the highly anti-human United Nations human rights blah blah immigration thing, find out who wrote it, find out who funded it, find out who were its biggest backers and who bullied everyone to pass it. Because these people coming on boats, rioting in your streets, victimizing you and your family, they didn't just do it out of nowhere. If we look at the racial abilities of most of the people who are invading white nations today, they are far, far, far below physically, organizationally, than the countries and the people that they're victimizing. But they are being led by people who are far, far, far smarter than the invaders in outfoxing the white nations and the host nations that are being invaded. Like, understand all these immigrants and illegal immigrants and all this stuff that you keep on whining about. You wouldn't have this problem, and you didn't have this problem when you were racially homogenous and when you're in touch with your race. And it is what it is. You have to have a religion for most of the people because most of humanity yet has not progressed to the fact that they can live a good life without some reward and punishment or a belief in their version of religion. That doesn't mean there is no creator. There is definitely a creator, but you need some religion tied to your race. That is most important. Tied to your race, your racial religion, right? So all of these people, physically, organizationally, if you're complaining about a bunch of South Asians or South Americans or Africans coming to your country and victimizing you, understand that you guys built empires in all of these places, with very few of you and a lot of them, right? And even their population explosion can be traced back to your tax dollars being sucked away from you and funded to literally fund the explosion of these bioweapons being, bioweapons being imported into your nations. So you have to understand that all of these people are the symptom. You can't keep fighting the symptom and trust in reality. Trust in WAYDE. When WAYDE says this, you will never win if you fight the symptoms, and those who insist on fighting the symptoms are going to betray you. They are traitors. Imagine this, right? You go to the doctor and you tell him, I have high temperature, I have a runny nose, and I have a sore throat. And instead of saying, the doctor telling you, you have a cold, let me give you something to treat the cold, he says, here, let's put some ice on your forehead to bring your temperature down, which is good, by the way, cool down the brain. And here is some medicine for your nose to stop running, and here is some medicine for your cough. And then you ask, will this stop it? Doctor's like, it won't stop it, but it'll stop you from having the cough and the runny nose and temperature as long as you keep taking it. And then you say, what if I stop taking it? Well, then you will again have it. So what would you say to the doctor? You would say, you're an idiot. You're treating the symptoms. You should treat the disease. The disease is the cold, right? So anybody who insists on fighting the symptoms without addressing the disease is a betrayer and a traitor to you. Remember that. So That is the topic for today. Superheroes are a childish psyop. Most of their rules are nonsensical and a surefire way to get your country, nation, and civilization destroyed. And their approach, if it was super honest, would solve the world's problems brutally and ruthlessly so that we had millennium of peace. It would take them just a week to do it if they were honest with themselves. That's Wade's message this time. Until next time, keep it cool, keep it smart, and as always, what do? We enjoy.